Sorry, that was me getting into my Avatar, Avatar: The Last Airbender theme music. So listen, Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's been a lot about it lately, and I'm happy about that. I am happy about that part. Avatar: The Last Airbender has had a resurgence lately between um, it being on Netflix, the original series being on Netflix, and becoming one of the the most watched shows on Netflix. And then between Legend of Korra reaching those same levels, um, Avatar Studios being in effect, them releasing this animated film that's coming out in October, that we should support, even if it's going to be on streaming. We should still support it. Um, Support the artist who worked on it. Please try to avoid watching the pirated version. Um, and yeah, the live action Netflix series Avatar: The Last Airbender is taking the world by storm again, and I love it, love it. And Avatar: The Last Airbender, it is my Star Wars. It's my Star Wars. It's my you know. Even though I love Star Wars, love Lord of the Rings, love Spider Man, love Marvel, DC, whatever. Avatar: The Last Airbender is like my. It is um my preferred drug of choice when it comes to entertainment. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. I watched every single episode when it was on Nickelodeon originally, and I own the entire series on DVD. I have watched that show thousands of times, and you guys know how much the show means to me. You guys know that the movie is one of the worst, is my least favorite movie of all time because of how much I love this show. And I have been very disappointed with Avatar content since the original series finished. I obviously hated the movie. I was disappointed with Legend of Korra. I did not love Legend of Korra. I was very disappointed with Legend of Korra. And now we get this live action show, which the first season, I was middle of the road on. I didn't think it was bad. I just thought it was not as good of an adaptation as it probably could have been. And I had a lot of issues with it. But that being said, I was like, you know what? Maybe they'll improve with season two. I think they have an opportunity to make some improvements with season two, I'm gonna root for this show. I'm rooting for this show um, because again, I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I've always wanted to see this adapted into live action. I think it has been long overdue for live action. I think it's the perfect world to bring to life in live action, um, and I think and after watching season two, I have just come to the conclusion that Netflix doesn't give a shit about Avatar. Netflix does not give a shit about Avatar, and I know I'm gonna be swearing a little bit in this, but you gotta just kind of deal with it because I need to get some of this out. I finished season two. I watched all of season two, even though it was kind of miserable to kind of sit through most of it. Now there are good things about this show, and I will talk about some of those things. There are good things about the show. Let me get into some of those good things. First of all, visually, it looks amazing. I mean, they did such a great job of bringing the aesthetic and the look of that show. They've brought it to life in such a cool and fascinating way. I think it looks brilliant. It looks fantastic. It looks magnificent. I just love the way it looks. And I think the actors, everybody does a great job, particularly um, um, the actor who plays as Iroh, Kim, Mr. Kim from Kim's Convenience, um, uh, or one of the rebel pilots from from Mandalorian, um, uh, Dallas Liu, I think is his name. who plays Zuko. He's fantastic. And I can't pronounce the girl's name who plays Katara, but Katara, especially in season 2, she really steals season 2. She's fantastic in this show. And I think all of the cast is great. The kid who plays as Aang, Sokka, Suki, even Toph. They introduced Toph this season, and the actress who plays as her is great. It's fantastic. I also loved, in this season in particular, I loved episodes 5 and 6. Episodes 5 and episode 6 really had a lot more that I loved, and a lot more stuff that I felt like Avatar. And a lot of emotional elements from the show that I feel like we're missing, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Um, they brought a lot of that in episodes 5 and 6, and I thought 5 and 6 were just magnificent. The stuff with Jet in episode 5. If you had on your bingo card, I don't know, Avatar Kyoshi having a conversation with Toph Beifong, if you had that on your bingo card, then good on you, because it's there. Um, and oh my gosh, was that conversation so good? That conversation that Toph and Avatar. And by the way, I'm getting into, there's spoilers in this. If you have not seen Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender, maybe don't watch this. But I'm gonna get into spoilers because I got to talk about this in detail. So I love that. I really loved episode 5, and then I loved what they did with Jet in that episode, and the fact that Jet ultimately sacrificed himself, and I like the fact that they changed Jet's fate from the original show. In the original show, he gets mind controlled, and then he dies, and it's very unclear. Much like Sokka says in the original show, it was really unclear. Everyone always questioned. Wait, so did Jet actually die? Is it a fake death? What is it? Um, and Nope, they make it pretty clear that Jet is dead, and Jet dies in the spirit world, and it was a great way for the character to go out. I think it was a great way for the character to go out, and I think um, having his redemption, going from a character who wanted to cause so much chaos in fighting for what he believed in, to have him have a redemption in the way that he did was incredible, absolutely incredible. But then when we get to episode 6, I love the turmoil between the team. I love the fact that they come up with this plan to talk to the Earth King, and it doesn't go well, and that leads them to have this big fight. They have this big fight, and this is where I feel like the girl who plays as Katara really shines, because when Aang lashes out at her, and she is just like, you can just see it in her eyes. Again, it's all in the eyes. The performance within the eyes is just, you can tell just how hurt she is by what he's saying to her, and how ugly he's being towards her. And I love that. I think it was so great. Oh, and another thing I loved, it wasn't in episodes 5 and 6, but it was in, actually, I believe it was in episode 3 or 4. But there's a scene in episodes, I want to say it's 3, where they go to the Earth King's party, and Sokka drinks the cactus juice just like he does in the original animated show. Although he doesn't get it from the desert, it's actually served at this party, which I don't know what rational human being is serving cactus juice at this party, but hey, someone's serving cactus juice at this party. And by the way, Sokka does say the line from the show: "It's a mushroom cloud, giant friendly mushroom." Like, that was great. But the scene that absolutely stole this show from me, was a scene in which Katara and Sokka have this conversation about loss. and about the pain that they both share. Sokka shares that pain that Katara has for their mother, but Sokka feels even more pain because he felt like he let Yue down by not protecting her the way he should have. And I thought that conversation between those two characters was so great, and it was moments like that where I was watching this show and I was like, man, this is so awesome. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that the show does that it doesn't seem to follow through on. It doesn't seem to reach those heights as much as they should. Avatar The Last Airbender, the original series. Yes, it was a fun Nickelodeon cartoon that children can watch on a Saturday morning. It was very similar, but it was also it was not it was different than the Japanese animations that were on Toonami. You know, like Dragon Ball Z, Inuyasha, Sailor Moon. Those were more action-based animes that didn't have a lot beneath the surface. Yes, there were in Dragon Ball Z. There's storytelling and there's rich character development in Dragon Ball Z, but for the most part, Dragon Ball Z is a bunch of filler episodes with a major arc set in between those filler episodes, and and uh, and you know Dragon Ball Z contains there are some episodes that drag on for 23 minutes where a character is just standing there screaming because they're powering up, just like screaming, and they're doing that for like 23 minutes, and it's like, oh, episode's done, okay, next time on Dragon Ball Z. Avatar was different than most of those cartoons because it actually was telling a deeper story about friendship, about loyalty, about betrayal, about war, and it's just all these different about redemption, all these different things. And it touched on a lot of important themes about forgiveness, themes about coming together when the world wants you to be apart, you know, when the world wants to be in divide, we have to come together. You know, it was always about something, and it always had a deeper purpose to it. And I feel like, unfortunately, this show, and very similar to like the live action movie with the M Night Shyamalan, it just feels like it has to recap everything and say, "Hey, do you remember that you liked this from the original show?" And also, they leave a lot of stuff out. There's a lot of important things that they leave out. Like, for example, the Guru is not even in this season. And in season 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Guru plays such an important part into the ending of season 2. In the show, Aang goes and visits the Guru, and he visits the Guru because um, this monk, this Guru, has information about how he can enter in and out of the Avatar state willingly. Because the big conflict that Aang has, and my mic is acting up. My mic is really wow. Let me try. Okay, my mic is really acting up. The thing with the big arc that Aang has in season 2 is the fact that he can't go in and out of the Avatar state that easily, and because of that, he doesn't want to go into it. And they touch on that in this season, but it's never brought up as this big conflict within himself, you know? And he's afraid of hurting people when he's in the Avatar state. He's afraid of how people are going to look at him while he's in the Avatar state, that people fear him, you know? And all that was a big major conflict that all concluded with the Guru. And the Guru takes him through this journey about learning about the different chakras and opening up all these different chakras. And what he had to do was he had to let go. It was very similar to Empire Strikes Back, where Luke went off to Dagobah to go train with Yoda, and then Luke doesn't finish the training because, oh my gosh, my friends are in danger, I gotta go help them, and he leaves before his training is complete. The same thing happens to Aang at the end of season 2 of Avatar. He goes there, And in order to unlock that final chakra, he has to let go of all of his attachments. He has to let go of the people he loves. And that means Katara. And the big thing is that Aang is starting to fall in love with Katara in that season. And so Aang falls in love with Katara, and then all of a sudden, he leaves. He doesn't finish the training that he's supposed to finish. And then that's when all this stuff starts to go down. That's when you see like the astral plane of like the like him walking on that astral bridge with the giant version of Aang in the Avatar states, and then the lineup of the Avatar cycle. And in the show, it's Roku who tells him that if he dies in the Avatar states, the cycle will be broken. It's not Yang Chen who does it. It's Avatar Roku who does it. And that's the other thing, is that Avatar Roku was the go-to avatar for Aang. And it seems like in this show they've tried to fill that role with like 5 different avatars, because people are really big fans of Kyoshi, people are really big fans of Kuruk, people are really big fans of Yang Chen. Whereas there's a reason why Roku was so prevalent with Aang. It's because in the 3rd season, and now this might be a spoiler for next season, but just bear with me. If you don't want to know anything about what might happen next season, then tune out. Tune out. But basically, the reason why Roku seems to help Aang a lot, and he's the one that's there for Aang the most, is because he feels a sense of responsibility for what happened, for the start of the war. It was his fault, because if it wasn't for him, Sozin would have never started the war, and none of this would have happened. And Aang wouldn't have ran away, and the air nomads would be fine, and everything. So that's why Roku is so important to the show, and what makes him so important to Aang is because because Aang is suffering the consequences of Roku's actions. And the fact that they decide to not have Roku there that much, and the fact that he's sidelined because, oh yeah, people are really big fans of Kyoshi, people are really big fans of Yang Chen, it just didn't make sense story wise to not include Roku in this season really at all. So that was one thing. Some of the changes that they made were questionable. Like the Serpent's Past is episode 1. They don't even get into like the general. I think it's General Fong or something. I think it's General Fong. I think that's the character's name. But the general in the first episode of season 1 is trying to get Aang to go into the Avatar state, and he even goes so far as to like trap Katara in like quicksand to get Aang to come out of the Avatar state. And it's like this intense moment, and and again, it starts off Aang's arc in that story. Plus, the other thing that really bothered me, the other change that very much bothered me was what they did with Bumi. So just like in the show, Omashu gets taken over by the Fire Nation. It gets taken over by the Fire Nation, and Bumi becomes the prisoner. He goes from being a king to becoming a prisoner. Now, in the show, they trap Bumi in this metal case, this metal casket, basically. And there's a whole escape sequence. The whole episode basically is them trying to break Bumi out of Omashu. Instead, in the live action show, they decided to not put Bumi in a metal casket, but they put him in basically a spare bedroom. He's not shackled up. He does not wear any shackles. He's got a table tray full of food right beside him, a comfy little bed that he can lay on, And yeah, he's basically still living the life of royalty without having servants come to him and without a fancy throne room. And I thought that was very, I just thought as a creative decision that just felt like a very questionable choice to me, of like, how can you be that, you, if you're going to make changes, it has to be changes that make sense. It's like in the M Night Shyamalan movie, and I can't believe I'm comparing. And by the way, this show is better than the M Night Shyamalan movie. I will say that. As much as I want to complain about this show, and I complain about how much they Netflix doesn't understand Avatar: The Last Airbender, it is far better than M Night Shyamalan's movie for sure. That being said, that being said, in M Night Shyamalan's movie, there's a change that's also very frustrating that they made in M Night Shyamalan's movie. Whereas, like, in season one, there's an episode where Katara gets on an Earthbender prison, and it's on this metal ship in the middle of the ocean, and Katara gets on this boat, and the Earthbenders, they don't have a lot of faith that their escape plan is actually going to work. Like, we're Earthbenders. We can't bend metal because metal bending wasn't a thing in season one. It didn't become a thing until season two, and then Toph invented metal bending. Which I love that, by the way. I love the fact that they brought back the line, I invented metal bending. I'm the greatest earthbender alive. Like, I love the fact they brought that line. Anyway, but in M. Night Shyamalan's movie, the earthbending prison, which again in the original show was on a metal boat, is on a dirt land with many rocks lying around. And it's like, oh, well, I mean, you could easily just walk out. You could easily just walk out of this prison. There's nothing really to lose here, except your dignity and your ball sack. There's nothing to lose here. You can easily just walk right out the door, and I it made the Fire Nation look incompetent, and it honestly, this thing that they did with Boomy kind of does the same thing. It makes the Fire Nation look like idiots, because how do you not have Boomy restraint more? Like, why are you giving him a spare bedroom with food and with a luxury chair and a sofa bed? Like, why are you that'd be like if I decided to hold some, you know what it's like? It's like in Beauty and the Beast, okay? Belle decides to take her father's place as the Beast prisoner, and the Beast, instead of just leaving her in the Beast is just like, you know what? As my prisoner, I'm gonna give you this really nice room with this very comfortable bed and all. I'm like, and I'm just like, then she's not a prisoner. It's just a very severe case of Stockholm syndrome. It's like what Boomy has in this show, that's not a prison. That's luxury right there. Like, I would, like a spare bedroom, and you serve me food still. I'm like, shoot. Like, if that's being a prisoner, then sign me up. If that's being a prisoner, then sign me up. But that's not how it works, and that's not how it was in the original show. And again, I understand you can't adapt everything in the live action. You can't. With an animated cartoon, you can't adapt everything in the live action. But if you're going to make changes, it has to be changes that make sense. And that just didn't make sense to me. Also, having the Serpent's Pass be the first episode just didn't make sense at all. Because the whole reason why they're going through the Serpent's Pass is because because the family that they're guiding through the Serpent's Pass loses their passports, like loses their ferry tickets, and they decide, okay, well, we're gonna guide these people through the Serpent's Pass. And the reason why they had to take the ferry was because they didn't have Appa to fly over the Serpent's Pass. Well, guess what? First episode, they're going through the Serpent's Pass. They have Appa there. They could all easily just jump on Appa and just fly over the Serpent's Pass. They could easily do it. Appa has carried a lot more people on his back than the amount of people that were with Team Avatar. You know? And again, just going back to the fact that if you're going to make changes, they need to be changes that make sense. They can't be changes where it's just like, okay, well, let's just change this because it's at least different than what they did in the show. Like, if you're going to make changes, they have to be changes that make sense. And having the Serpent's Past be the first episode before you even get to the Appa kidnapping stuff. The fact that Appa gets kidnapped by Sandbenders, that's not in this at all. The Sandbenders aren't even here. The Dai Li take Appa, you know, and the Dai Li don't take Appa until long after that library episode. You know, it's just again, the show feels like it needs to make changes, but the changes they're making don't make any sense. And I just think it was, I don't know if it's, I'm wondering if it's just maybe like the writers are just lazy and they don't, and again, I feel like this is just going to my main point that I'm trying to make through this video. Netflix doesn't care about Avatar. Let me repeat that. Netflix doesn't care about Avatar. You know, Netflix doesn't care about Avatar. They look at Avatar as this IP that is going to get them more subscribers because people love that original show. And the thing is that you're not going to get people on board if you're not going to get the littlest things right. If you're not going to get if you're going to miss out on all these emotional moments. And the fact is that this show misses out on so many emotional moments from season 2. Season 2 is a great season of television for Avatar: The Last Airbender because it's darker, it's more emotional, it's hard hitting. You know, it's a dark season, and it's filled with a lot of tragedy in it. Like the way, like the ending is like Empire Strikes Back. The heroes lose at the end. Now, they ended this just like the original show. They ended season 2 of the live action series exactly how it ends in the animated, where Aang gets shocked by Azula. But the way he gets shocked by Azula in live action is where I have a problem. Because in the show, in the original series, Aang gets into the Avatar state. But he's levitating into the air, and he's about to do this Avatar thing. Azuka, that's stupid. Azula hits Aang from behind with lightning. In the live action, they decided to do this weird thing where Aang kicks everyone's ass. He's about to hit Azula. He's about to kill Azula. And he just stops. And he drops everything. And then Azula takes the perfect shot and just hits him right in the chest. Just square right in the chest. And it's like, what? Like, it takes away all the drama and all the, like when you watch, like, I'm going to take you back through a time machine here. Let's get in the DeLorean, go back to when that episode first dropped. Let me see. When did that episode drop? Let's see. Let's take a look here. Let's Avatar: The Last Airbender. Let's go to screw it. We'll go to Wikipedia. It's take it with a grain of salt, but I'm pretty sure it's here. We'll go to season 2. And Crossroads of Destiny, that was December 1st, 2006. Both The Guru and Crossroads of Destiny both premiered on the same day, December 1st, 2006. Okay. You have let's take the time machine back a little bit to December 1st, 2006. When that episode ended, me and my brother looked at each other and went, they killed Aang? Like, we were in shock. We were shook by that. The fact that they possibly just killed Aang. And nobody saw it coming. Just like Aang didn't see it coming. As soon as Aang does what he does in the live action show, I feel like even people who have never seen the animated show, you're just watching this blindly, okay? I know this because I feel like I would have been able to piece it together. The second Aang drops those rocks and doesn't kill Zula, you're just sitting there going, "Oh, well, she's gonna hit him. Watch, she's gonna hit him. Boom, there, she hit him. Okay." It loses that dramatic tension of like, "Oh yeah, here comes the Avatar standing there. Oh, what the fuck?" Like, just like, "Holy shit!" And like, no, no, like just the yeah, like the screams and the terror that brings, and then Iroh jumping in. You gotta get out of here. I'll hold him off as long as I can. Like, Katara lifts up, she goes out, and it's like, as a child, I'm sitting there and I'm horrified by this. This is like a traumatizing experience for me. I'm like, watch this go. No, 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 no. You know, I'm scared. I'm scared, and I'm hurt because because of what they're doing, because of what they're doing to Aang, and what happened to Aang. You know, and it just, and then with here, it just lost all the suspense for me. All of that gone because of the way they handled it. And again, I understand changes have to be made, but if you're going to make changes, do not make changes that are going to, number one, not make sense. You, first of all, they have to make sense for what you're doing. And number two, they also can't come off, you, if you're going to change something, it has to be for the better, and it has to actually have meaning and like an oomph to it. This doesn't. And to me, this feels like the bad version of the bad Disney live action remakes. Like Maleficent, or like the Beauty and the Beast live action, where it just feels like, okay, they're telling the same story, and the changes they're making just don't make sense. Like, the changes they are making just don't make sense. Why? What? Like, that's what this feels like. This feels like a bunch of people who don't understand what Avatar should be, and they're just trying to take Avatar and turn it into Game of Thrones, or turn it into House of the Dragon, or turn it into The Last of Us, or whatever. The Witcher. They're trying to turn it into Stranger Things. They're trying to turn it into this stuff that Avatar never was. Avatar had a unique tone and a unique thing that it had going, and it just never, yeah, they just, it never tried to replicate other shows. And the thing that bothers me the most, and sorry I'm yawning, but it's midnight and I am getting sleepy here, but the thing that bothers me most about Avatar, and why, and what, is because it's doing something wrong, whereas One Piece is actually doing something right. The One Piece live action show, it doesn't just recap the show for you. It's not like a here's the greatest hits of One Piece. No, they are able to tell their story. They are able to get 60 episodes of One Piece into 8 episodes. They are able to get 60 episodes of One Piece into about 8 or 9 episodes. And that's incredible. But the difference between that and what Avatar, One Piece actually has somebody who knows this world. They have the creator of One Piece there to watch and see how they're adapting things. Okay, no. You can't make that change because then it doesn't make sense for what you're doing here. And Luffy can't be like this because he's not like that in the show or in the manga. So we have to fit. It has to fit with what his personality is and stuff like that. Like there's little things that there's little things, of course, that they change. I'm sure. I'll be honest. I never watched One Piece and I never read the One Piece mangas, so at least I assume they're based on mangas. But I've never seen anything from One Piece other than the live action Netflix show. But everything from what I've heard from people who are fans of One Piece, like my friend Michael, like my friend Robert, that it is a very accurate adaptation of the original series. And the fact that they can't do that with Avatar, that they originally had Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko on board, and they let them go because Netflix just doesn't understand what Avatar should be. They just don't. And I think, unfortunately for me, it was like, I I don't know, man. I you know, Avatar is like, you know what Avatar is to me? It's the hot chick you meet on a dating app. You're on a dating app, you meet a hot chick and you're like, "Oh, she's pretty hot. All right, let me swipe right real quick and just we'll text, and then all of a sudden we'll set up some dates." Okay, first date, verbally harasses you in public. Oh, wow, ouch. That hurts. The M Night Shyamalan movie. Second date, Legend of Korra. She slaps you in public while also verbally harassing you. Okay, well, and then you get to date number three, and you're just like, but I've been abused so many times in this relationship. But you do it anyway because you're just like, oh my gosh, this girl's so hot. So you go on the third date, and then she decides to just pee on your shoe, and that is Avatar to me. Avatar, I would love to sit here and tell you guys, you know what? That's it. I give up. I'm not watching season three when it drops on Netflix. I'm not watching season three. But you know what? I am a sucker for this franchise, and I'm going to. I just know. I just know in my heart, because I'm a fan of Avatar The Last Airbender, I'm not going to be able to resist when season three drops on Netflix. And I'm just going to be like, all right, I got to take a couple days to binge through this show because I know I'm going to have to talk about it, because I'm like, and you know what? I do it because I love Avatar. Just like how I watched all of Legend of Korra, even though I wanted to give up on Legend of Korra, I watched all of it. Why? Because I love this world. I love this world and these characters and all this other stuff. Why did I watch the movie back in 2010? Because me and my brother saw that trailer and our minds were blown. We were gonna see a live action Avatar movie and it was gonna be awesome. Turns out it sucked. And unfortunately, this is the third time that I've been burned by Avatar, and but I'm gonna watch season three. We'll see how they mess up season three. I didn't think they were gonna be able to mess up season two, but they messed up season two pretty bad. And yeah, as much as look, there's a lot of positives in it. There's a lot of things that I like in it. I love the actors. Again, The standouts to me are Zuko, Iroh, and Katara. I think especially the girl who plays as Katara, I think should get some sort of an Emmy consideration for this because she was fantastic in this season. And I thought she was just so great in this season, and she is probably the one who I will say is just pitch perfect casting for Katara. Is able to understand who the character is emotionally and what that character means to Aang, and I love it. And there are little things that I like too. There's certain references to the original show that are fantastic. The Cabbage Guy cameo, I'm not gonna lie. Every time the Cabbage Guy shows up, I smile. I smile every time. In season 2, he shows up and he goes, but my cabbages. I'm not gonna lie. I smiled. I had a big grin from ear to ear. I thought it was awesome. And there are things that I like about it. Again, episodes 5 and 6 I thought were fantastic. But I just think this show overall just proves to me that Netflix doesn't understand Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it shows. But yeah, that will do it for this video, guys. This was a pretty long one. This is about 40 minutes, but that will do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will have a brand new episode of the podcast up this Saturday, so make sure you guys go and check that out when you guys get the chance to. So, or probably not this Saturday, because I think this video can go up as you guys are watching this. It will all be Saturday, so this is going to go up on Saturday. The podcast will probably go up Sunday night, so make sure you guys listen to the brand new episode of the Zeke Senso Show. I am going to be reacting to K-pop Demon Hunters in that episode, so make sure you guys go and check that out when you get the chance to. But that will do it for this podcast, guys. That will do it for this video, guys. Not a podcast, the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please make sure you leave a thumbs up and subscribe. I don't think I subscribe to the channel because Zeke the Geek said so. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.